Okay, my name's Zakashi guys, and in this video here we're going to be doing a should you summon for the new Legends Limited Omega Shenron. Now this is branded as the 6th anniversary and it's quite a shock. We've never had a unit drop right after the Ultra and it still be branded as part of the 6th anniversary, which is insane. So I feel like the timing for this is obviously bad and most people are probably just not going to summon on it either way, but depending on how good he is, and I've read his kit already, he does look okay. If anything, better than decent actually. His element choice, I don't know. But of course, the timing is just terrible. We just came out the anniversary, UG4 still here, part 2 banners are still here. He has to be really something good to just survive as a standalone Legend Limited right after. But his animations are really good. Let me know what you think about his animations. Let me know what you think about his kit after watching this video. And of course, let me know in the comment section whether you're going to be summoning or skipping. This is all the advice you're going to need. We're going to also do a kit summary. I'll give my opinion on whether I'm going to be summoning, and I'll give an opinion on whether you guys should be summoning too. But of course, it's just my advice, not law. Let's get into this. So this segment here is just general advice. It applies for every banner, but it's more so specific to the timing right now. So right now we're coming out of the 6th anniversary, but it's still kind of the 6th anniversary. It's the after party. We have a Legend Limited Omega Shenron dropping by himself, which is quite wild, but whatever. I would say in general, you have nothing to lose by summoning on this banner because all your chrono crystals are probably low anyways, based on the fact that we just had 2 Legend Limiteds in part 1, 2 Legend Limiteds in part 2, and Ultra. So if you do want this guy, you might as well just try your best and try pull him. You don't have a lot of chrono crystals to save. There's no time period where they give us to save. So most of the people that I'll be summoning on this are whales anyways, or people that just somehow didn't summon on part 1, 2, or 3 that somehow are part 4. So yeah, that's just to put that out there. I don't know why they didn't drop this alongside G4, but it is what it is. If you're considering saving, that could also be a good option, simply because we're going to be heading into the festival next, but they will also probably be dropping some diamond stuff, considering that because of the Sparking Zero release, they've already announced that they have diamond content, which basically confirms that we're going to be getting diamond content in Dragon Ball Legends too. So you might want to start saving in advance, especially if this guy doesn't suit any of your teams. That guides me into the next segment where I'm basically going to say, if he doesn't suit any of your teams, unless you just like Omega Shenron that much, which I don't believe people do, you might as well just let it go. But the last thing, which is probably the most important thing, watch showcases before you even summon if you do decide to summon. There'll be content creators that will take the fall for you. I might not, but a lot of content creators will do showcases. Just type in on YouTube Omega Shenron showcase, watch a video, 2, multiple. You could also wait a couple days after the unit actually releases, so that when everything's done and settled for how he's actually performing, you will know it's not just a day one impression of people having a bias or something. You know he's settled into PvP and he's actually good or he's actually bad, if you're one of those people that care about how he's going to perform. Obviously, if you're doing it for collectors, my opinion doesn't even matter in this case. You should just summon because you care about collecting. That's pretty much all the information I've got. I don't usually have this little to say, even though it might have felt like a lot, but it's simply because we're coming out of the anniversary and most people are going to have low chrono crystals anyways. But in most cases, just make sure you watch showcases if you do decide to summon. Right, so now we're going to be going into Omega Shenron's abilities, and I've gone ahead and actually just tweeted out all the parts of his kit in a summary. So we're going to run through all of this because I'm not going to lie, the way Legends phrase some things, it's a lot of writing, and I know you guys are Dragon Ball fans that don't want to read everything. So I've written out all the most important parts of the kit in like simple form, so you can just take away what you need to remember when you're going to be using the unit in PvP. But if you do want all the details, they will be in the game soon, and they're also on this website, dble.bn-ent.net. So yeah, let's get into reading the kit. So let's get into his kit. We got Legends Limited Omega Shenron summary here. He's green, which is questionable considering they dropped Ultra G4 being as powerful as he is, but I guess fusing Super Vegito has some comp. I don't know, I guess so. Also, a side note, he's a fusion warrior, which also meshes very well with a lot of the units that are being used today. So if we look at GT, he's obviously working well with UG4, Super Baby 2, those guys. But looking aside from that, fusion warriors, we've got fusing Super Vegito, fusing Gogeta Blue, corrupted Zamasu, who's also a powerful opponent. Ultra Golden Frieza gets some value, which is obviously not to be mentioned with the fusion warrior stuff, but I'm just mentioning teams right now. Cool. Look at the strike cards, 100% chance of inflicting poison, which is nice. It ticks away and it is a lot more impactful than you might think. Also has blast armor. Let's go to the blast arts, 100% chance of poison as well, which is very valuable. I'm not going to lie, it's something underrated in my opinion, but I think it's super good. The special move, so this is the blue card, on activation, 30% special move damage, and also all enemies will get 50% to health restore, minus 50%. So that's obviously useful. A lot of characters are able to like gain health, specifically UG4. So you can imagine how this is very valuable. Here, on hit, you have a 20% chance of fainting, and on hit, you have a 100% chance to inflict bleed. Bleed, again, mixed in with the poison, you're going to be taking away a lot of health behind the scenes. People won't notice that their health has gotten really low. Next thing you know, you hit them with a blue card or one strike and they're dead. Here we got the green card. You get plus 20 to key, destroys 2 enemy cards randomly, cancels enemy buff effects, which is insane. Enemies get 2 sub counts up, so you kind of lock them in quickly. Plus 20% to enemies damage received. If 50 timer counts have passed, he goes type neutral. He also, if the Rise and Rush is activated, he gets 1 Dragon Ball up, and 1 defeated battle member would mean that he draws an ultimate art. So he actually has 2 ultimate arts in his kit. Now, this specifically is kind of like, alright, cool, use a Rise and Rush, right? The next time you do a green card, you will get a Dragon Ball immediately. That's how that works. This is based on timer counts, and this is based on 1 defeated battle member. So there's conditions for the green card to be activated. Cool. Let's move forward. The ultimate arts here, plus 20% ultimate damage inflicted. That's standard. It nullifies endurance. That's pretty much standard. Plus 20% to ally ultimate and awaken damage. So from his ultimate, he's actually buffing the allies' ultimates. Over here, plus 20% special move damage inflicted by allied GTPO. GT, powerful opponent, or regeneration. So if you have those tags, you'll be getting special move damage by these tags, which is also good to note. The main ability here, you draw an ultimate arts, you get 20% more health, 40 key, enemy key gets taken minus 50, and you also take their Dragon Balls by 1. Just some neat stuff, nothing too crazy. Now the unique ability 1 and 2 is where we're going to get into the writing, where they write out paragraphs. So on the battle star, he has 110% damage inflicted, and he also starts with a Dragon Ball. On battle star, you increase Dragon Balls by 1, you're just starting with a Dragon Ball immediately. When you enter the battlefield, you get 20 key, 90% damage inflicted, which only happens once, which is important to note. You also get 30% to blast damage inflicted. It's not for that long, but yeah, I believe it's like 15 timer counts, 10 timer counts. Type neutral for 5 timer counts 3 times. Type neutral for damage sustained for 5 timer counts every time, and seals enemy green cards for 5 timer counts. I think the neutral is amazing, even though the general type neutral is only 3 times. The type neutral for damage sustained for 5 timer counts, even though it's only 5 timer counts both ways, this one happens every time. So that's based on the damage you're taking, you know. And sealing green cards is super important, because explosive greens, grab card greens could break or change, make the game, you know. Next up, plus 20% damage inflicted every time a strike on blast starts is pressed. So he's going to be getting continuous buffs, which is good. Seals 1 card at a time for 10 timer counts when abnormal condition is applied to the enemy. So he inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 10% to damage received for 15 timer counts, right? And when that happens, or every time a normal condition is applied to the enemy, so I believe that could be the poison or the bleed, there will be 1 card sealed. I think Gold Frieza does this, and the way it's written on Gold Frieza is not specified, I think, but here it specifies simultaneously, so only 1 card at a time. But people often like to read it as it can be like as many cards as you want it to be, and that's not the case. Here it happens with a lot of units, but this is based on if they're on standby. Now, why this is important, which I will just spoil in advance, Omega Shenron has indestructible. He has indestructible like Goku and Bardock, which is obviously good, but it's only 1 element here. So in this case, shortens on sub count by 5 when an ultimate awakened or rise and rush is pressed while this character's on standby, basically saying you can switch him in so he can take the damage from one of those big name attacks so that his indestructible can activate. Obviously that's super useful. Next up here, we got nullifies explosive green, so similar to God Goku, Gogeta Blue, the yellow one, the fusing one, and who else does that? Yellow Jiren does that, and Red Beast. Just some examples of people that can just block AoE greens. Unique ability 2, strike cover change that can chain into blues. Here, every time 1 Dragon Ball is obtained while he's alive, unique gauge fills. Now this was very interesting to me, the way they've done this. He just has a unique gauge that can fill based on Dragon Balls, I believe. But it can be emptied via the use of strike arts, blast arts, or if he's hit with an enemy arts card. The gauge cannot fill again for 10 timer counts. There's a cooldown for it once it does empty. So it's pretty easy to fill. It fills by Dragon Balls. but once it empties, you have to wait 10 timer counts to fill the next one. So before you're thinking, oh, I can easily get all the Dragon Balls and just empty, fill it, empty, fill it, empty. No, there's a cooldown every time. Now, if you empty it through the strike or blast, you get 50 ki, draw speed, and cover null. But if you empty it versus getting hit, because like I just showed you, there's 2 ways of emptying the uni gauge. You get plus 20% health restored, plus 50% to next special move damage, and you also seal the ultimate awaken also 5 timer counts from the enemy. Now, last few things just to mention, he has indestructible, which I mentioned earlier. He gains plus 50% after the indestructible ends, so you know, after like the cracked health bar ends, like with Goku and Bardock. And also plus 20% damage inflicted cannot be cancelled, plus 1 Dragon Ball from actually going through the process of indestructible as well. That's pretty much the kit. It's a good kit in my opinion. It isn't super crazy, but it's more so something that's going to break you down over time. That's what I've deemed it as. Now, you want to know whether I think you should summon for this character, and honestly, I think the unit can be good for GT, but I think the timing is abysmal. The timing right now dropping when UG4 exists and Ultimate Gohan exists is absolutely insane. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know what the devs were planning. I don't know what they also were planning dropping this after the anniversary headliners have already come out, like as a last unit of that whole anniversary. People are not going to be going for this like they were the other characters, just because on top of that it's Omega Shenron, you know. It's not like he has the biggest fan base in the whole of Dragon Ball. So just out of that, it's kind of like, unless you're a diehard GT guy, maybe you think you want to use him on powerful opponents, he could be useful maybe in a future meta, but right now you're basically making an investment for a possibility in the future where he could shine. But right now I don't see him shining. He does have some things that could somehow work against UG4, but really, is this green unit going to fight against the most dominant purple in the game? Probably not going to be the case. He also works on the same team as UG4, not just GT, but Fusion Warriors and other Fusion Warriors. So if you wanted to force him on the team, you can, but I feel like you'd be making that scenario too forced. So the only guys I really think that should be summoning for this guy are the GT guys, maybe the powerful opponent guys. But if you're a powerful opponent, it'd be for a future investment. If you're GT, it's even for a future investment, because right now the best GT team would probably be Super Baby 2, UG4, then you might put on Bomb Crew or Ultra Omega, you know. Maybe this guy could be the third now, but off rip, I don't feel like he's good enough to really be doing that. I should also mention that his ultimate art is long range. You know, him having a long range ultimate is not the best in my opinion. I feel like long range ultimates should not, I don't know, man. I just didn't like it with Super Vegeta. I thought it'd be super good with how we had it with Gotenks, but really and truly in use, it wasn't really cooking. There were some scenarios where it could be useful, but in most cases I'd rather a close range one, me personally. So if you want my opinion on whether I think you should summon, really and truly, I don't think so. Most people won't be looking for this, but there is those niche scenarios where you guys might be a GT main, powerful opponent main. Fusion Warriors, I don't feel like they need this. It's already a powerhouse stack team. Even though he has indestructible, he could still probably get melted, and most people that'll be running this guy won't get him high stars because we're already low on chrono crystals. If anything, reverse, actually, most people running this guy will have him high stars because they saved for the GT drops and nothing else. So yeah, I advise you skip. I don't think it's worth it, but of course, do what you gotta do, you know. But I'm advising skipping, generally speaking. Maybe save for the festival or the possible diamond units that we could be getting in about October. With all the information I gave, it should go without saying I'm not going to be summoning. It's not something that's going to bait me before somebody tries to pull out the argument of, oh, you're a YouTuber, you're gonna summon, watch. I literally skipped Ultimate Gohan. There's nothing you can tell me, whether you believe it or not. I'm kind of like, because it's 4 AM for me at the time I'm recording this. I'm like, bro, you had me up on 4 AM for Omega Shenron. And why are you dropping a Legends Limited after Ultra? Like, I don't know what they're thinking. But hey, man, they be planning stuff, you know. They dropped Gogeta Blue. We thought he was underwhelming at the start. Most people with a brain did anyways. And then he turned out to be one of the most valuable units in the game because they dropped 2 purples. So maybe they're going to drop more blues. And those blues are going to be insane. But then Omega Shenron's going to be the only guy to stop them. I don't know. But yeah, that's my opinion. I'm not going to be summoning. Let me know what you guys think. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, man. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know whether you guys are going to be summoning. What's your situation right now? I already gave you my opinion, so don't be expecting anything from me pretty much. But of course, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press that subscribe button. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one, man.